both single at the time. Actually, no, not my late 30s, my late 20s. God, blimey! I lost 10 years then. I was about 27, 28.
Those were bad 10 years anyway. It's okay. Let them go.
And yeah, I was sharing a flat with Jamie Hewlett. We both recently split from our girlfriends. Yeah, we were having a really great time. He was kind of doing his cartoon stuff, and I was, I don't know, either on tour or off tour with Blur. One day we were watching MTV, amongst other things, flipping channels, and just kind of sort of agreed that things could be done a lot better. And really, that's how it happened. It was, I said to him, well, why don't you kind of, create some cartoons and I'll create some music for cartoons. And literally the next day he went into his studio and I went in my studio, and we came back in the evening, and I had a couple of tunes, and he had all the characters kind of sort of sketched out.
Wow, that quickly.
Yeah. Then we were trying to find a name, Chimpanzee. We wanted something like the Monkees, because it was a manufactured band in that sense. We wanted it to kind of have some sort of homage to the Monkees. And Chimpanzee didn't work. We called ourselves Gorilla, and that didn't kind of have the zing that we felt a cartoon band should have. And then we put the Z on it, and the rest has kind of sort of happened, taken care of itself in a way. But I mean, that's how it started, and then we realized, wow, this is amazing. And then we got drunk a few nights later and wrote a manifesto about what we were going to be about and what we were going to achieve. It's somewhere. If Jamie's got it somewhere, I'd be quite interested actually to kind of look at it again and see exactly what
you've achieved.
Well, what we've thought, what we'd imagined, whether we've stayed true to that manifesto.
It's funny that this album out April 28th is called Humans with
yes.
the Z, because it seems like you've evolved from Gorillaz to Humans.
Yes, that was the idea.
Oh, really?
That was the idea, and also it was a kind of, I had a lot of titles for this record, but that one was the one that, seemed to, if it was an elevator pitch, that seemed to kind of sort of give enough information about what the record's about, because I mean it's very much a dialogue between men and women. It's I realised that all my records previously had been far too male heavy, and not intentionally. So in this one, from the beginning, I wanted to make as many duets as possible, and also I like singing to people. Yeah, Humans. It's about humans. It's about humans on the night of something kind of extraordinary and troubling happening. And that was the vision that we set out with at the beginning of last year. We were kind of imagine a city like New York after something has happened. In the future, and not kind of sort of specifically about Trump, but we definitely used that as an energy, because this was this thing that was starting to bubble. I mean, when I'd come and played at Madison Square Gardens with Blur the previous October, I kind of, people had been sort of, as a joke, imagining, of course that couldn't possibly happen. And I kind of sort of came back to London with that in my head. And so I imagined it happening, and then imagined how would we all party that night and how would we all feel. But it's not really about it, because it's kind of set in the future, But I just used that as a sort of energy. And the strange thing was that as the year progressed, it became more and more like a reality.
No, it sounds like it was written yesterday.
Well, yeah, there are those who say that Brexit opened the door for all
that. It certainly did.
We're speaking on the moment of Brexit
Well,
happening.
I mean, if you can imagine a huge, great subsonic Anglo-Saxon drum being pulled from some dark vault on the day of the Brexit result and struck by somebody, and this deep resonant sound travelling underneath the Atlantic, and I don't know, talking to people as people's subconscious, and sort of, yeah, I mean, look, let's face it, it's an extraordinary thing to happen. It doesn't make any sense really, but I think, let's look at it positive. Let's look at it now. Now we all realise that we have to take activism very seriously, and we have to like really respect each other and listen to each other, and listen and learn lessons from it, and move forward, and see this as the death knell of small-minded idea of what the world is and what our role within the whole world is.
Your role as a musician.
My role as a musician, I mean, you know, I've gone really off subject and gone into a much bigger thing. And you know, and at the end of the day, this is just a pop record. But I'm just saying, it was fueled by this kind of dark fantasy that came true.
I'm interested in your apparent love affair with De La Soul. They're on this record, and then I think one of your best vocal performances ever is on their last record, Here and After. I think it's so soulful and beautiful.
Yeah, I enjoyed doing that.
What is it that you bring out in each other, and how did you come to be so close?
We just get on with each other. I mean, De La Soul was one of my first introductions to hip hop. You know, that and Tribe Called Quest, which Actually, Tribe Called Quest was the first thing full album I was introduced to. And
do you remember which one?
The first album.
Okay.
And I was so hungover. It was in New York. I was so hungover that I opted for my record company rep. I opted to get in the boot of his car, and we were driving to radio station somewhere, I think in Brooklyn or something. So I listened to the whole of that album for the first time, very hungover, in the boot of a car driving through Manhattan. So De La Soul were right there at the beginning of my kind of sort of awakening to that kind of music. Yeah. So I mean, it was just amazing when I met them, and we just hit it off straight away. And as a result, I don't know, they're kind of sort of semi-permanent members of Gorillaz.
Yeah, they've been on a bunch of those tracks.
They've been on 3 albums now.
I mean, we're talking about collaborators. How could we let you go without asking about Grace Jones? I mean, how the heck did you get Grace Jones?
The Queen.
And that's a track I haven't heard yet.
Right. Oh, well, if you haven't heard it, then...
After reading her book, I would have been a little fearful of her in the studio as well.
She's one of those people that as long as you're just kind of yourself, she's a sweetheart. You know, she's got a very, very, very big bullshit detector, I think. And she's also, you know, what can I say about Grace Jones that hasn't already been said about her? I mean,
Well, did you send her an email? How did you get her on
I knew her already. I'd met her once in a nightclub where I'd made the mistake of saying she looked like Little Red Riding Hood because she was wearing a red cape, and she turned around and said, Little Black Riding Hood, and then just turned back, and I didn't speak to her again. And then she came to, and I was thoroughly put in my place. And then she came to see one of my things I did in the theatre, Monkey Journey to the West. She liked that, so yeah, and she's also managed by someone who used to work for my previous management, called Brendan. So we kind of know each other, but that doesn't mean that she's any less challenge in locating her at any given point, because she's quite mercurial in that sense, you know.
But you're happy with the way it turned out,
obviously. It was amazing. I mean, when we finally got it together, it was hard to stop once we'd started, you know, and she's got so much energy.
She's amazing. It's
slightly
stuff with Trevor Horn.
It's slightly supernatural, her energy. It's not entirely of this world, is what I would say.